Good morning, magandang umaga, and welcome to today's episode of My PI Dream. Today is Saturday, and it is May 12th, and it is a special day for Ness and myself. And we are going to go downtown Charleston, and we are going to enjoy the sights and sounds of the beautiful city of Charleston, South Carolina. This morning, we're running a little bit late, but we were waiting late because we were expecting a shipment to come in through FedEx. And Ness had ordered something a couple of days ago, and I ordered something I ordered something a while back. Anyway, both of the shipments came in at the same time. They are here, so it gives us the opportunity to do our journey today into Charleston. So anyway, we are going to do that and head downtown Charleston. So without further delay, let's get today's video underway. Well, we made it to downtown Charleston. We got the vehicle parked, and we're going to do a walking tour today, and we're going to share our walking tour with you as well. Right now, where we're parked, I think this is Cumberland and Concord. They have parking facilities, multi-level parking facilities all over in different parts of Charleston, by the College of Charleston, down by Broadstreet, by the market area, and we're parked very close to the Waterfront District right now. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take you to the Waterfront District, and we're going to show you what it's like out there, and then we'll walk our way to the city market, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get there. This is a favorite place for kids. You should see it when my grandchildren are here. So one of the interesting things when you're down here by the Waterfront District, they have this very nice walking pier that takes you out to the edge of the waterfront. And from the edge of the waterfront, we're going to show you some of the sights that you can see from the edge of the waterfront. So not only is this a really interesting place as far as visual, the sights and the sounds here by the harbor, what you also see out here over my shoulder, this is the USS Yorktown, and it is a static display. It was decommissioned. I don't know what year it was decommissioned, but you can take tours. You can go on there. It's like a museum. Well, it is a museum, and it has aircraft on board that fought during the war. It has you can go on each one of the decks, and you can see actually what it's like being on a American aircraft carrier. Also behind me in this area, right across, if you can see where the flag is flying over there, that is historic Fort Sumter. Fort Sumter is one of the places where some of the first shots of the Civil War actually began. It actually started right here in Charleston, South Carolina. There are two significant things that happened here, and I believe it was in 1861. There is an island, I believe it's over to the right of Fort Sumter over there, and it is Morris Island. There were some cadets that fired upon one of the naval ships of the Union, and it actually was one of the events that led to the beginning of the Civil War, and that was at the beginning of 1861. Then later on, if I can remember, I don't remember what month it was, but again, it was in 1861. From here in the Charleston Harbor, they fired upon Fort Sumter. Fort Sumter originally was a island that, it was a post. It was an outpost by Union soldiers, and General Beauregard and his troops started firing against the folks over there on Fort Sumter, and that was what they call the first battle of the Civil War, which began here in Charleston, South Carolina, a very significant and historical event. Also, what I would like to show you is this wonderful piece of construction over here. It's a span bridge. I don't know, it was built maybe about 15 years ago, and it's just a wonderful piece of construction for a span bridge. They actually do the marathons. Each year there's a marathon that's held here in Charleston. I forgot the name of the marathon, but they run. That's part of the path where they go over from the Mount Pleasant area over here to downtown Charleston. And another one of my favorite styles of architecture and design for decoration is the famous pineapple fountain right here behind us, which is also a favorite place for photos here in Charleston and for the children to play inside the fountain. We're standing here right now with Trudy, and Trudy, how long have you had this shop that you have right here?
I've been here close to 10 years.
Close to 10 years.
I've been doing this since I was 4 years old.
4 years old. And Trudy, she's had some really wonderful stories. We've been talking with her a little bit today. But one thing that back in the day, people had really big families over here, and I want Trudy to tell you how many people she has in her family. She's one of.
I am one of 12 children. I'm number 6.
Number 6.
6 girls and 6 boys. Margaret and Frank Jefferson.
So were they worn out by the time they got to you around number 6, right around the middle?
No. They left this world with a lot of energy. His grandparents, parents, they taught us to work, and we enjoyed working. It was the way that they taught us, to get along. Talk to each other.
Well, thank you so much for sharing the time. We've actually been here talking with her for quite a while here.
And thank you also for this wonderful gift.
That lovely lady back there, I didn't even talk about her trade. What they do in Charleston, and it's a Charleston tradition, is they take the Sweetwater grass, the grass that they harvest from the ocean side, and they bring that to their shops. They make all these wonderful gift ideas and things like planter holders for your plants and baskets and things like that. And that's what this is. This right here came from part of the Sweetwater grass that was pulled from the ocean side.
And she makes bouquets of this.
Yes.
Roses. Beautiful.
So we were walking by here. We had to stop by this restaurant right here. We're not going to eat here right now. We're going to eat in a little bit, but we got some more sightseeing that we want to do before we actually have a meal. But this restaurant right here used to be a bar. This bar used to be called Wet Willie's, and that wasn't so long ago. It's amazing how things change. You turn your back for just a little bit and things change like crazy around here. But Wet Willie's used to have a stage right behind these doors over here. And Ness and I don't know if many of you know about it, but Ness and I used to have a band here. We used to be rockers, and we used to play in a band here called Bad Moon Band that we brought from South Korea, and we brought the band over to the United States in our hometown of Charleston here. But this is actually one of the places, one of the venues in downtown Charleston that we used to play. And I think this is so cool that they changed into something different, but it makes me miss the good old days. And here we are on the corner of East Bay and North Market. This is the city market. The city market is often confused as the slave market, but the slave market, or what originally was called the Slave Mart, is something totally different, and we will get to that later in our walking tour. But the city market right here, established, as you can see, over in 1807, this was actually a place where it was like a farmer's market at the time for both things like food and gifts and things as well. And today it is one of the historic sites for tourism here. As you walk through, and you'll see they have lots of different types of gifts and novelties and some food and drinks inside. And we'll do a walk through there right now. So what we have behind us here is a famous landmark and a historical landmark here in Charleston. This is the Dock Street Theater. The Dock Street Theater is the first theater that was built in the United States of America. Of course, it's probably been restored many times, and it's absolutely beautiful inside. It has lots of great venues that come here. I've actually seen some very nice plays here, and I wish we could go inside and take a picture of the inside, but they probably don't even allow cameras inside there. I don't know, but we'll look at it from the outside. And as you can see, Charleston is still lined with many cobblestone roads back from, I don't know, the way back when era, when there was nothing but horse and carriages that ran across these roads and streets in the back part of the city. The next building that we're approaching here on number 6 Chalmers Street is the Old Slave Mart. Remember, I said a lot of people confuse the city market with the actual slave mart here. A lot of people confuse, they think that slaves were traded over in the city market area, but in fact it was actually done here at this slave market in the mid 1800s. Well, to be exact, the slave mart right here was built, it was constructed in 1859, and it was the center of this particular area right here in Charleston where slaves were actually traded. And Ness is actually a school teacher when it comes to U.S. history, and I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about it.
And this facility here is the last of the slave market auction facilities where Africans who were brought through the transatlantic slave trade were auctioned and bought and sold, and these slaves were prized according to their skills, gender, and age.
Well, while we are on our next historical site to share with you, we're at the corner of historic Broad and East Bay Street right here, which right across the street is the old Exchange and Provost Dungeon that was built circa 1771. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We have a fun fact for you. The fun fact is, when people think about Charleston, well, Charleston wasn't always Charleston. Charleston was originally named Charlestown, and it was named after King Charles II. After the Revolutionary War, naming cities and towns in South Carolina was not very popular when you named them after British or royalty. So they changed it. They changed it from Charlestown to Charleston. Well, here we are on the corner of Elliott and East Bay Street, and this is that historic landmark that I was talking about. And I'm going to go across the street so that you can see it better. Maybe we'll even put this into a super wide view so that you can appreciate this. But what we have behind us right here, this is Rainbow Row. This is one of the landmarks Charleston is known for. There are 13 houses here that have individual colors, and they've kept the individual colors since the very beginning when they built these houses way back when. The 13 row houses here that make up Rainbow Row, these are Gregorian style houses here, and they were devastated from the Civil War, and then later in the 30s, 1930s and the 1940s, they were all restored to their present condition. And they continually, because of the Historic Society here in Charleston, they continually make sure that they maintain the original color scheme for each and every one of the 13 row houses here. Something I'd like to focus on right now is some of the architecture in Charleston, specifically the houses down here on the Battery, and we'll talk about the Battery in just a little, what it stands for. But I want you to see the houses. I want you to see the grand porches on these Gregorian style houses. So behind us, and what I'm standing on right now, this is called the Battery. The Battery here in Charleston is just what it means. It's a battery of cannons and things to defend Charleston from aggression, and specifically the aggression of the Union, the North, when there was the Civil War. And as you can see over my shoulder here, we have cannons. You see the cannons that lined up all around this area right here. A little background on the geography, the topography of Charleston right here. Charleston is on a peninsula surrounded by water, and it is protected by barrier islands. The islands that are out there, Johns Island, Morris Island, Isle of Palms, Folly Beach, all those islands out there, and they protect it from things like hurricanes, or as we know it in the Philippines, typhoons. And we get plenty of them on the East Coast, just as we do in the Philippines. But just like in Lipa, we are protected with the mountains, with Mount Makalak, Mount Malarayat, that protect us from the typhoons. Here in Charleston, our protection is being on the peninsula and being inland. That is the ocean right out the end of the harbor right there. Well, we are at 120 Broadstreet, and 120 Broadstreet, as you see behind us, this is the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. This church was built in 1907, and it is the mother church of the Roman Catholic Diocese here in Charleston, South Carolina. Ness and I have made it a part of our special day, our schedule today. We have some business inside of here. And as a matter of fact, I think we have a shout out for today, don't we?
Yes.
I think we do. And as you know, we always do shout outs for all of our subscribers when they have a special day like an anniversary or a birthday. Well, anyway, today is a special day for us, as we've been kind of hinting earlier in the day. As a matter of fact, today is our anniversary. And
16th year.
It's our 16-year anniversary, and that's why we're actually out in Charleston today, spending this time together. So we have to go over to the church, and we have to do something that's special to us, and then we will continue our tour of Charleston with all of you. So anyway, this is our special shout out to ourselves. So anyway, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
I want to show you what's behind me. That is one tough cookie back there. No, I'm not talking about Ness. I'm talking about this tree. Well, Ness is a tough cookie also. But the tree, this is the grand oak. The grand oak is one of the strongest trees in existence. I want you to look at the massive arms, the limbs that come off of this tree. These trees sustain hurricane strength winds, and they continue to hold their integrity. They don't fall apart like a lot of the trees do. I want you to look at the size of this though, and watch, look how far these limbs go. Well, ended up being quite a windy day down here in downtown Charleston. Actually, it feels really good because I think the temperature is supposed to be up around the mid-90s today. The breeze feels really good. We were walking down the street and Ness says, I feel like having a steak. And you know, I can never turn down a good steak. We're going to find out if we can find a good steak. So Ness put into her iPhone, she did a Siri search, and the closest one here is a place which is right across the street on 17 Broadstreet, right over here, called Oak Steakhouse. So we are going to try Oak Steakhouse. We'll do a review over there, as a matter of fact, as well. And hopefully we can get a good steak. So let's go over to Oak and see what we can have for a good steak for today. Well, that was it. That was dinner, and it was a great dinner. Wouldn't you say it was a great dinner?
It was.
It was a great, the steak. It was one of those. It was one of those Black Angus steaks that was marinated for like 30 days or something like that, and it was actually seasoned and cooked to perfection. Really good. The asparagus, really good asparagus. And the au gratin, the potatoes au gratin.
Potato gratin.
Gratin. Oh, it was great. Everything was fantastic. I reckon we're gonna have to give these guys 2 thumbs up.
Yep.
2 thumbs up. So anyway, we're going to continue, but we're going to close for today because it's starting to get dark here in Charleston, South Carolina. And that being said, the GoPro doesn't do very well in the dark. If we find a place somewhere in Charleston that is light enough, like inside one of the clubs, we're going to actually go. We're actually looking for some live music is what we're looking for. And then if we have more, we'll add it to the end of today's video. But we're going to close for today. And what a day it was! It was a great day. Touring in our own town, I always like touring in my own town because Charleston is such a beautiful place. And we only just touched the surface. We only scratched the surface of the things to do and to see in Charleston. Yeah, there's so many places, coffee shops and restaurants and gift shops and museums and art shops. There's so much more. So
gardens.
And gardens. But the gardens, we'll do that on a separate video at a later date because there are some really great gardens around here. And the beauty is amazing. And this is the time of year to do it when everything is starting to go into bloom. And this is the time of year. So we'll try to do that after a couple other things that we have scheduled that we're going to share with you that are coming up over in about a week. In about a week, we have another special trip that we will share with you. Oh, and one last thing before we close for today. We want to make sure that everybody doesn't forget it is Mom's Day. It is Mother's Day. And that's what half of those flowers were that I got for Ness today. 1 dozen is for Mother's Day and the other dozen is for her being... I got 2 dozens. Is for the anniversary. So anyway, don't forget that Sunday, tomorrow, is Mother's Day, which will probably be today when you watch this video. So hopefully you treated your mom because all moms are special in that way. So anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, please give us a thumbs up, please share, and if you have not subscribed, just click on that little My PI Dream heart in the bottom right hand side of your screen. Over there, you will be subscribed and you will be notified the next time we upload a new video. So until such time, you have a wonderful and blessed weekend.
Just the 2 of us, building castles way over. Just the 2 of us, you and I. When I think of you sometimes, and I wanna spend some time with you. Just